Ooh, look, another one from my file that I like to call jacked up. A Quebec judge has ordered 2 toddlers to be sent to a state-run daycare center for, quote, socialization. The judge says the family is isolating the children and depriving them of a real education. With more on this, I'm joined by the host of Byline, Brian Lilly. And Brian, it must be said, first of all, I believe the children are 3 and 5 years old. Yes, I said 3.
That is correct. So a 3-year-old, you don't have to go to school at 3. In fact, in Ontario, you don't have to go to school at all. But you don't have to go to school at 3, but this judge has ordered it. This isn't about socialization, Jackie. This is about socialism and the government deciding how you're going to run your life.
Yeah, this is crazy. And now I must also add to the story, from what I understand, 2 older children from the same family were forced to go to state-run school last year. I believe it was a judge that said she didn't agree with the mother's teaching method. Not that she didn't agree with the curriculum, but didn't agree with the mother's teaching method of using repetition. I thought as long as you followed a certain curriculum, you were okay.
Well, you know what? In Ontario, all you have to do to homeschool, which is what this family was doing, they wanted to homeschool their children. And every parent is their child's first educator. That is the parent's job. In most places, parents say, you know what? I don't feel up to that. I'm going to send my kids to school. This family wanted to homeschool, and judges have stepped in to say, no, you can't. So first they didn't like the teaching method for the older children, ordered them into school. Now they've ordered the 5-year-old into school because they're old enough, and the 3-year-old into daycare. You know, last year, my wife and I pulled all 4 of our kids out of school. They were homeschooled for a good chunk of last year. They're back in school now. They were socialized just fine, because they were out in the community. They were around other children. They were around adults. They learned how to behave around other people. And I've got friends that homeschool, and they say, my children are actually better socialized than they would be were they in school every day, surrounded by kids the exact same age as they are.
Yeah, not really learning much just from that aspect of it. Okay, I want to talk about the 3-year-old, because as you said, is there a law somewhere that I'm not aware of that says that you have to send your children to daycare, number 1? And number 2, who's paying for it?
Well, in Quebec, they've got the $7 a day daycare program, and this is very similar to what the Liberals and the NDP have always promised about bringing in a national government-run daycare system. And so essentially it's subsidized. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are or how poor you are. In Quebec, you have subsidized daycare for everybody, and it costs parents just $7 a day. So it's the melding of judicial activism here with the ultimate nanny state, and that is the government saying, we're going to run daycare, and then we're going to order your kids into it. It's complete insanity. You know, we've got another wacky judge case, and that's the one where the judge came out and said, being too drunk is an acceptable defense for rape. And this is going to sound bizarre, but I'm less worried about that one, Jackie, because I think sensible minds are going to step in and fix that. Parliament said you can't use the excuse of I was too drunk. A judge overturned that. The appeals courts will squash that. They'll get rid of it, or Parliament will pass a new law and say, no, you can't use the excuse of being too drunk. But who's going to step in and say, judges cannot force you to send your kids to daycare or school? Quebec has the least amount of freedom and choice for parents in the entire country, but it's not alone in that. Ontario's very good. Please don't tell Dalton McGuinty I don't want that to change.
Shh, I won't tell him.
Okay.
Okay, so the 3-year-old going to daycare, you don't think anybody's going to actually stand up and challenge that. Again, though, I mean, the judge can say, okay, this child needs socialization, but legally, where does that ruling come from?
There is no law about this. This is the judge's opinion on socialization. This is the judge's opinion. There's no law that says they have to go there. The parents have not been charged with neglecting their children. They're not doing any harm to the children. There's been no allegations of that. So this is purely them trying to impose their opinion.
Crazy. Okay, I do have to ask you, what do you have coming up on your show this evening?
Excuse me. I'm getting sick. That's what I've got coming up on the show this evening. We're going to be talking about this report, the first Tamil smuggling boat that came in. Apparently there's been no charges because the RCMP bungled the investigation. We'll talk to the immigration minister about what they're going to do about that, that and lots of other fun. If I don't lose my voice.
Brian, I know how you feel. I'm just coming back from being sick, so you know what? My heart goes out to you right now. We won't keep you any longer. Go get some rest.